Hello and welcome to Beyond the Lights, Football Across Texas, where we're talking football in towns with head coaches across the state. I'm your host, Brandon Brown, retired football coach and AD. I'm glad you could join us today at this week's stop from the Lone Star State as we meet one more coach and one more town to make up the world of Texas high school football.
Favorite run play, I like ISO.
Power. You got to run the power.
So I was hung up at the crow's nest.
My grandfather was the first African-American running back to be All-State.
I was 19 right about the time and went to a church revival and got saved. And that path changed my life.
No detail, which is finding joy or happiness in others' success.
Now, I got a funny story on this.
Coach, this guy's eyes popped out of socket.
Oh, those guys grew up on beans and cornbread. You know, I grew up on McDonald's and bologna sandwiches, a little better deal.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like to play the flute, Dad.
It ain't all right either. If you're editing, but go ahead.
It's how well you can get your Jimmies and Joes to do the X's and O's.
So if I tell you too much more, I have to kill you?
All right, hello everyone, and a couple things before we get started today. Please be keeping the Lake Travis and East Bernard families in your prayers after the recent tragedies affecting both communities. Terrible situations that they're going through, as you know, and they can use all the prayers we can give them. Hope all of you had a good first scrimmage this past week and got a good look at your team and made it through healthy. Good luck this week in your second scrimmages as well. Now, we're still in our series on becoming a head coach, and today's guest is a new head coach who has some good insight for those of you preparing for that first head role. So we'll go ahead and get to the show. All right, hello and welcome to episode 82. I'm in San Antonio today, right close to home at Sam Houston High School, continuing our series on becoming a head coach. And I'm sitting here with head football coach and athletic coordinator Rashard Colquitt. And I am saying that right, aren't I, Coach?
Correct.
All
yes,
right. Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Excited to be on the podcast. Thank you for coming out. It means a lot.
Oh, yes, sir. No, I'm glad that you were able to have me today.
Yes, sir.
I've been wanting to get over here and talk to you, and because you're starting out brand new, came up in April, right?
Yes, sir. Got here in April, so this first time being a head coach. A lot that comes with it, but I'm excited for this opportunity, and looking forward to starting the season with our boys.
Yeah, no, I bet. And we were talking beforehand. You were talking about how you had a lot of good kids returning.
Yes,
a lot of players returning.
Yes, so the team, that I took over, they won a district championship last year. And a lot of those kids that was on that team from last year are returning this year. And so, being my first time being a head coach, walking into a team that has that experience, is making the transition pretty easy. But now we still got to go out and perform on the field, So my job is to, take it to the next level, with the coaching staff that I have, with the talent that we have on the team, it's our job to make sure that, at the end of the season, we're back-to-back district champions. So with the experience, with the coaching staff, we're excited for this season, what we have in store. So looking forward to it.
Well, tell me about the staff. Did a lot of them stay, or did you bring in all your own?
And so two of them stayed, and so I had to hire a whole new staff.
Oh, yeah.
And so, not being from San Antonio, not really having any connections, I had to hire a whole new staff. And the guys that I was able to bring in, they're top-notch guys. So I'm excited to see them work. And I'm going to let them work. I'm not a micromanager. I'm going to let them do their job. And so far, we started practice last Monday. And so far, they've been nothing but, awesome. They're pouring into our kids. New scheme on offense, new scheme on defense, special teams. Everything is new. And so the coaching staff is doing a great job. I was blessed to hire the guys I was able to hire.
How many of those did you know personally beforehand?
None.
Oh, none.
None at all.
That is a fresh start.
So, like I say, not having any ties. I had guys that I worked with in Houston, but, that I wanted to bring with me and they wanted to come. But, that's a long, haul to uproot your family and move to San Antonio. So none of them could come. And so I had to, really hire a whole new staff, not knowing any of them, and just, interviewing and building a relationship and, just picking out the right people that, not just good football coaches, but, good men that I knew that could lead our program, or lead our boys. So I was blessed to hire the people that I was able to hire.
Well, man, I should have caught you back then when I was doing my series on hiring and personnel.
Yeah, no
you would
doubt.
have had a lot of good info
and,
for that.
For me, that was my first time. Being the first time head coach, that's my first time, having to hire people, and it's totally different. And like you go through these, you post a job and you get all these applicants, you get cover letters and resumes and all this stuff, and you really got to sit down and go through each one of them to make sure you're making the right choice for people to come in, not just coach football, but lead these young men in the right direction off the field. So, that was a long process. I mean, just going through the interview process and going through resumes and making sure you pick the right guys. And they can't just be right guys for football and kids. They got to be right guys for the school building also.
Yeah.
You have to talk with your principals and administration to make sure that the right people are coming into the building. And I think I did hopefully we're going to see when at the end of the season that I did a great job of hiring coaches. But I think for the most part so far, man, they've been nothing but good to our kids and our program.
Well, good deal. Now, were a lot of them, I'm just curious, were a lot of them local, like San Antonio guys?
So, my defensive coordinator, he's coming from Judson, which is local. That's right around the corner. My offensive coordinator is coming from Bryan High School.
Okay.
So that's a little ways off. And then my quarterback coach is coming from ETBU.
Oh, yeah.
He was a graduate assistant at ETBU, but he's from San Antonio. And that actually was an easy hire because he reached out to me. When I got the job here, he reached out, hey, Coach, I want to come back home. I'm interested. And so brought him in, did the interview, and he's been nothing but awesome as a quarterback coach. And then my D-line coach came from Mississippi. And so I was able to hire a coach from Mississippi. He has all his credentials to be a Texas teacher. And, he has experience working with the defensive line. So that was a huge hire. So, a couple of them were local, but, 2 of them came from way on the outside. So I was able to hire some good guys.
Have you noticed more coming in from out of state recently?
I have. I think, everyone knows about Texas high school football, and I think people want to be a part of it. They want to experience, being a coach in Texas and everything that comes with it, because it's a lot, man. Like this is the best high school football in America, and people want to be a part of it. They see it from afar, and they want to be a part of it. So I think people do anything they can. If they have an opportunity to come to Texas and coach high school football, they're going to do it. And so I was able to get somebody from Mississippi to come down and be a part of my staff. So, yeah, Texas high football is the best, and I think people want to be a part of it and experience that.
Oh, that's cool. And I just noticed it seems like more and more when I'm meeting these guys traveling around the state, I'm meeting more and more that are from out of state.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, I've been like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
maybe we're getting more and more here from
no doubt,
all over.
No doubt, yeah, it's the best, and I think people realize it, and coaches around America, they want. Because I had, when I posted the job, some of the jobs, I had people from Ohio apply, I had people from Louisiana apply, but they didn't have the Texas credential to be a teacher, these things. So, but they see, what it's all about being a high school football coach in Texas. And, when you post a job, and I didn't know about that because this is my first time posting jobs. When you post these jobs, you get applicants from all over, America that, want to come in and coach Texas high school football. And so, but they don't know about the other part of it, about being a teacher and being, certified to be to teach in a classroom. So that part, really stops a lot of it. But when you get those coaches like the one I got from Mississippi who has all their credentials, hey, it's an easy hire because, they're certified to be a Texas teacher. So, but yeah, people want to be a part of Texas high school football, and I think they know about it. They know it's the best football around, and so. When the openings come and they have all their stuff, it's a very easy hire for them to come.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see if you just had a whole U.S. map up there and colored the states based on where are the coaches full-time teachers and where are they just part-time employees. I'd be really curious to see what that map looks like, because I know a lot of them, I say that a lot of them that I know of, like Colorado and stuff, a lot of that's just after school and New Mexico, I think the guy that I interviewed from there when I was out at Reynosa last year, I think theirs is a full-time position still, but I think a lot of his assistants aren't.
Right, correct.
So it's just I'd be kind of curious to see what that map looks like.
It's different, man. It's different. So, but this is the best. If you think about Texas, if you think about high school football, Texas comes to mind to everybody around. So
I think you're definitely right.
Yes, sir.
Well, okay. Well, Coach, we always start out kind of the same way, telling a little about your background, your family, where you grew up, and what got you to this point you are today.
Okay, so small-town boy from Corrigan, Texas, in East Texas.
Camden.
Camden, Bulldogs, born and raised. Me and my wife actually went to the same high school. She was a year older than me. Got married in 2022. We have a 4-year-old son named Ace. He's awesome. Very supportive wife, Julie. I mean, she means the world to me. I think anybody in this profession as a coach, you have to have a supportive spouse. If not, job's are already hard as it is because you spend so much time away from your family. But once you find someone that understands that and supports you, it makes your job a lot easier. And she has my back no matter what. My little boy Ace, he's at every football game with her. So I'm very blessed to have her by my side, to have my son Ace, and they mean the world to me. How I became a coach, and I think this is kind of similar to a lot of people, was my high school coach. My high school coach was Coach Seven Armstrong. He changed my life, and the way that happened, when I was a sophomore in high school, my mom had a brain surgery. She had an aneurysm burst in her head.
Oh, God.
And so rushed to the hospital, spent, a couple of days in the hospital with the surgery. No, she came, everything was good. She came out fine. Everything was good, but spent a couple of days in the hospital. It was just a downtime for me in my life because I didn't know. And one day I was walking out of the hospital with some of my family members to go get something to eat. And, as soon as I walked out the hospital, Coach Armstrong was there with his family, his wife and his 2 sons. And, at that moment, it showed me like, wow, like he's just not my coach. He just doesn't care about me being an athlete. Like he's here to support me. He's here to support my family.
Yeah.
And that showed me, that changed my life because it showed me that, it's just not about sports, right? He cares about me as a person. Like he's here to check on me. He's here to check on my family. And as soon as I saw that, and I knew that I wanted to be a coach. I knew that I wanted to impact kids' lives like he impacted me that day. And that day changed my life, for the good. Because, without Coach Armstrong, I wouldn't be in this chair right now. The impact that he made on me that day, coming to the hospital with his family to support me in my time of need and my family, it changed my life. And so every day I strive to make that connection, to make that impact on the kids' lives, the way he made that impact on my life. So that's why I got into coaching. That's why I love what I do. It's because, when I was 2005, I was a sophomore in high school, and, Coach Armstrong changed my life for the good. So I give him all the credit for why I'm sitting in this seat right now. So, that changed my life, man. So, yeah.
So where'd you go to school after
after college, I went to Sterling College. It was a small little school in Kansas. I played 4 years there, played football there. That was a game changer too, because it was similar to Corrigan. It was a small town, not really big, but going there and getting my degree and playing sports, that was huge for me.
There's a lot of good schools up there. Is that NAI?
NAI, yes, sir.
There's a lot of good ones up there in that. What do you call that? The Midwest. There's a lot of good football getting played up there.
I went to school there for 4 years and met a lot of good friends. Made a lot of good connections. But those 4 years were good for me in my life.
And so then you came back down to Texas and got started.
Came to Texas.
Now your wife, was she in Texas this whole time?
Yeah. So me and my wife, we actually didn't date in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were.
Okay.
We went to high school.
I thought this was going to be a high school sweetheart.
No. We didn't date in high school. We just went to high school together. We kind of reconnected like 10 years after.
Oh, that's cool.
School.
Yeah, so that's cool.
But in high school, we didn't even talk as much. So we were just passing to see each other in the hallway.
You were underclassmen. She didn't acknowledge you.
She didn't like me like that. So yeah.
Okay, so you came on back down to Texas and to start coaching at what, Cold Spring, Oakhurst?
Yep. So my first job was at Cold Spring High School with Coach Brian Barbay. And I think everyone knows the Barbay's name in Texas. His dad was the legendary coach in Newton, and so that was my first job. Was under him, and just really learned the game. Like that was a tough nose, hard nose, slot T. We're gonna run the ball at you every single play. But working for him, man, I fell in love with the game. Like I knew that I wanted to be a coach from Coach Armstrong and being in high school, but I didn't know the coaching side of it. And then when I got with Coach Barbay, I was lucky enough to, be a part of a winning program. Won a district championship my first year of coaching, and just learning from him and seeing how he, ran a program was good for me for my first year.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went to Nacogdoches middle school in Nacogdoches. Like I knew, my end goal, I wanted to be a head coach. And so in Corrigan, we were wing T. We ran the ball almost every play. Then I got to coaching with Coach Barbay, slot T. Ran the ball almost every play. And so I was like, man, if I want to advance in this profession, I need to learn more. Nothing wrong with slot T or wing T, but I wanted to advance more. So I took a middle school job in Nacogdoches, ISD, Mike Moses Middle School. Coach Bobby Reyes was the head coach at the high school. His son James Reyes was the offensive coordinator. James is now the AD at Palestine right now.
Okay.
And so I worked at the middle school level, but I always went to the high school to just be a fly on the wall. And, I did the scouting. I did everything that a middle school coach has to do. You're really just a GA when you're in the middle school. And so the best thing Coach Reyes did for me, he was like, I want you to, be with the offensive line. Whatever Coach Palmer was the offensive line coach in Nacogdoches at the time, Todd Palmer. And he said, I want you to be with them. I want you to learn offensive line play. He said, your goal is to be a coordinator one day. Your goal is to be a head coach. You need to learn everything it is about offense. And so I was Coach Todd Palmer's GA for that whole year. Anything he needed.
But you were a better paid GA than the other one.
Exactly. I was a full-time salary GA. But anything Coach Palmer needed, I did. But he had his position meetings with the offensive line. I used to always go up on Saturdays and Sundays and just sit and just watch. I had my notepad and I just wrote everything down that I could. Didn't say anything. I had no say in the game plan. But I learned. I learned the base of the offensive line. I learned how to game plan at that level. And so that was a great year for me, working at the middle school and going up to the high school and helping out in any way I could. And like I said, I used to just sit in the back of the room while the offensive staff game plan, had my notepad, and I just wrote everything down that I could. And so that was very, very beneficial for me that year. And then after that, I knew that I wanted to continue to climb the ranks. And this is where relationships come into play. So when I was in Cold Spring, the defensive coordinator was Coach Cody Houck. And, in Cold Spring, I did everything too. I washed the clothes, coached the freshman team, swept the floor. Anything I needed to do as a first-year coach, I did. And so Coach Cody Houck came up to me. He's like, Coach Colquitt, I like your work ethic. Like, you do anything you're supposed to do, and you do it at 100%. You give it your best. He said, when I get a big-time defensive coordinator job, I'm going to take you with me to be my DB coach. And I was like, okay, coach, okay. I'm trying to be the best first-year coach I can be. Okay, whatever. And so the spring, it was the spring break, and when I was in Nacogdoches, and I was at home, and I got a call from Coach Howell. And so he had left Cold Spring after that first year, too, and I think he went to a school in Houston. Then he called me. He was like, Colquitt, you ready? I was like, ready for what, man? I haven't talked to him since we were in Cold Spring. I was like, ready for what? He's like, I got the defensive coordinator job at Port Arthur Memorial High School. He said, I want you to come be my DB coach. He's like, I told you I was going to offer you a job.
Made good on his word.
Yeah, he made good on his word. He's like, will you come be my DB coach? Never been to Port Arthur. Didn't know where Port Arthur was at. I didn't know who the head coach was. I didn't know nothing about Port Arthur. And I was like, okay, I'll go with you. And so that summer, I went to Port Arthur, and I was the DB coach that whole summer. So Coach Kenny Harrison was the head football coach that time at Port Arthur Memorial High School. Now he's a head coach at Summer Creek High School now in Houston. He was the head coach, and Coach Howell, he hired Coach Howell to be his defensive coordinator. And Coach Howell took me to be his DB coach. So that whole summer, I was working with the DBs. But something had happened with the coaching staff, and so I moved over to coach receivers. And never coached receivers in the spread offense and stuff. But I went back to my notes that I took from Nacogdoches. I went back to my notes, and I saw receiver play. I saw basic routes. I saw, and so I studied that book the whole summer until the season started, because now I'm coaching, receivers at Port Arthur Memorial. And if you know anything about Port Arthur Memorial, there's athletes everywhere. So I was like blown away by the speed and by the talent that these kids had, and now I'm coaching the receivers, some of the top receivers in the area, being a first-year receiver coach. But the notes that I took at Nacogdoches, those times sitting in the back of game planning meetings, I took all those notes and I used it, my time there coaching receivers. So I spent 2 years there with Coach Kenny Harrison, and he left and went to Summer Creek after 2 years. We had a lot of success at Port Arthur those 2 years, won 2 district championships, made it to a third round of playoffs both of those years. And after that, he left and took the head coaching job at Summer Creek. And so Coach Brian Morgan took over as head coach. Coach Brian Morgan came from Lamar University, and he offered me to stay to be the offensive coordinator. And so I had a dilemma. I was like, all right, do I go with Coach Harrison, or do I stay in Port Arthur and be the offensive coordinator for Coach Brian Morgan? And so I decided to stay at Port Arthur and be with Coach Morgan for 4 more years. I was his offensive coordinator, but he brought that offense from Lamar University, the things that he was a running backs coach at Lamar University. And so he brought that offense to Port Arthur. He's a Port Arthur kid too, so he was from Port Arthur. And so he brought that offense to Port Arthur, and I wanted to learn that. Same thing, seeing the end goal for me was to be a coordinator, to be a head coach. And so I wanted to learn the terminology and the things that they did at the college level, because he brought the same offense to Port Arthur. And I think staying with him, Coach Morgan, for 4 years was very, very beneficial for me. The base of the things that I do offensively, I learned from him. Terminology, how you game plan, how do you set up plays. Like, I learned all that from him. And so it was a tough decision not to go with Coach Harrison, because, you can see what Summer Creek has become now. And Coach Harrison was a great head coach, learned a lot from him. But the opportunity to learn something new and something that I could use down the road was best for me at that time. So staying with Coach Morgan for 4 years, man, that was a great decision. Like I say, the base of what I do offensively, I got from him. And I use some of those same things this day. And he's a great coach. Learned a lot from him. And my time, the 4 years that we had together there in Port Arthur, we had a lot of success. And so after 4 years, so me and my wife got married during those times and we were in
How
Port
did y'all
Arthur.
reconnect?
And so
Sorry, I just
yeah, no.
curious.
So what they said, got in the DMs. And so yeah. So I reached out to her, and I was like, we should catch up sometime. She was like, catch up? We ain't never talked before. So we didn't talk in high school. What you mean catch up? But
I meant startup.
Startup. But she still went out on date with me, and then so.
Now, where was she living at the time?
She was in Houston,
okay,
and I was in Port Arthur.
Okay.
And so we connected back in 2000. That was 16. And so, like I say, I graduated in 07. She graduated in 06. And so we connected in 2016, and we've been, together since then. So,
that's cool.
But yeah, when I told her we should, get together, reconnect, she was like, well, reconnect? We never talked to connect. So what do you mean reconnect? But, she decided to go on a date with me. We've been together ever since. So it's been good.
It's that charm. You turned on the charm. Yeah.
Right. And so we got married during that time. I was in Port Arthur. And then we had our son, also Ace, that time in Port Arthur. So after 4 years, both of our parents lived in Houston. And my mom lived in Houston, her mom lived in Houston. And, having Ace, we wanted to kind of get closer to the grandparents. And so this is where the connection part comes in, building connection. So Coach Cornelius Horman was the offensive coordinator for the first 2 years I was in Port Arthur, and I was the receivers coach. And so he got the job at Aldine Nimitz High School. And so when he got the job at Aldine Nimitz High School in Houston, he called me to come be the offensive coordinator. And it played out perfectly because, one, we wanted to get to Houston, close to Houston because of the family. And then, two, I had a connection with Coach Horman already from this time being the offensive coordinator at Port Arthur Memorial while me being a receiver coach. And so when he called and offered me, to come be his offense coordinator, I think I told him yes right away because everything made sense, and Nimitz was a struggling program, but when we took over, hadn't had a winning record over 20 years. And when we took over, it was a lot of work. But we saw the end goal. The end goal was, this has a lot of talent. It just needs some polishing up. And so our first year we went 6-4. Second year went 8-3. Third year went 7-4. And this past year we went 8-3 again with the district championship. And so, helping him turn a program around, that was very, very beneficial for me. And so my time of being an assistant, Coach Brian Morgan was a first-time head coach. I was able to see what he went through as a first-time head coach. Coach Cornelius Horman, he was a first-time head coach. I was able to be with him as a first-time head coach. So all those experiences that I've had in my journey to this point, has helped me, not everything is new to me, because I've seen it happen a couple of times before, during my career. So, but my career has been nothing but beneficial. Every stop I made in Cold Spring, being with Coach Barbie, and in Nacogdoches with Mike Moses Middle School, being with Coach Reyes and his staff, working for Coach Kenny Harrison for 2 years, working for Coach Brian Morgan for 4 years, and being with Coach Harmon for 4 years. Every coach that every head coach that I work for, I learned something from. And I've took bits and pieces from each one of them and kind of molded into my own. And now I'm delivering it here as the leader of Sam Houston High School football. So those stops have been beneficial to me. Those men are beneficial to me. And I definitely want to be here in this seat if I haven't worked for any of the people, because everything that I do, bits and pieces are from them. And I've took it from them and I kind of molded it into my own. And now I'm delivering it here as a leader of this football program.
All right, coaches, don't forget that if you haven't checked out Randy Jackson's OVR 99, you need to go take a look at it. Go to CoachRandyJackson.com and click on the OVR 99 link. It's the rating system for your athletes that'll keep them competitive year-round, factoring in not only athletic ability, but academics, work ethic, and everything else that makes our athletes who they are. So go check out OVR 99 and give Randy a call. Tell him I sent you and get 10% off. It's funny. I haven't asked you one question yet about becoming a head coach, and I've already got three big things written down here that were part of your journey. Yeah. One, your connections and your relationships with the people everywhere you were good. You weren't burning bridges about things, and your work ethic right there. That's something I always noticed. Right. I loved coaches when I'd hire. I hired a coach several years ago that was brand new coach right out of high school. Right. One of the greatest work ethics ever. And he's actually right up the road from you. Okay. At one of the San Antonio schools here, and Madison Redmond. And he would outwork everybody, never complain. He would come down from class, because I put myself and him in charge of laundry that year. Yeah. But I always did the laundry because I was out there at the field house anyway. Right. He would leave class just to come flip one load. And I'd be like, Coach, I got it. He goes, no. He goes, you have me on. And, and that kind of stuff stands out. So, I mean, you talk about your work ethic. People notice that around you. You talked about being a sponge and learning everything you could about everything. Right. Like someone had told you needed to learn O-line because that would help you overall. Mm-hmm. There's nothing better than O-line.
No doubt.
I coached O-line forever, and
That's one of the most important
it.
spots on the field. You got to have a good O-line, got to have a good O-line coach. So, to learn that and get the base of that, man, that's been helpful for me, especially being offensive coordinator, just knowing – the base of what they're going to do up front. You have to know that to call a play, I think. And so that year in Nacogdoches, Coach Reyes, he really helped me out because, at the time, I was like, I don't want to be with no offensive line. Like, I want to be with receivers, running backs, quarterbacks.
Nobody wants to be with the big boys.
I want to be with them. Like, I'm a skill guy. Like, I'm skinny. I don't want to be working with the big dudes. But it was beneficial for me, to be with Coach Todd Palmer and be under him and just be a sponge and soak up all the information that he was giving to his guys. I was taking it like he was coaching me. Like I played offensive line. And so the notes that I took was from him. Like I still go back and look at today. Just how he taught the offensive line has been beneficial for me for calling plays and hiring a good offensive line coach. Like I want to see some of the things that I saw Coach Palmer do. So when I interviewed my offensive line coach, I go back and look at all the stuff Coach Palmer was doing, how he was teaching. And so, when I do my interviews, we're going to get on that board. Like, I want to see how you're going to teach the kids. I want to see your, everyday drills. How do you teach this scheme? So, so I look back on the notes I took from Coach Palmer and see if this coach has some of those qualities. And so, that year was beneficial for me, man. And like I said, I wouldn't be in this seat if it wasn't for that year and all the other years that I had as an assistant.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. So that really already answered. Our main topic now today still is strategies on getting that first head job. And we talked about your path already, so we've kind of gone through that. What are some things that younger coaches need to be doing that'll help them get their foot in the door for that head job? If you had to just pick a couple major things that said you need to be doing this and this to start preparing yourself to kind of get your foot in the door for those.
I think, just do anything that you can in the position that you're at right now. Like, ask your head coach for any responsibility that he can give you. Be an admin on duty at times, because sometimes, head coaches, they got so many other things to do, they're looking for some help. So, hey, coach, man, I'll be an admin on duty. I'll help you out. Have a good relationship with your principal, because you never know, and so I know it's all about, networking and things like that, and people think networking outside of your school district. That's great. But you also need to network inside your school district. Network with your principals. Network with your assistant principals. Show your work ethic to them, because one day that assistant principal may become a principal, and now they're looking for somebody to hire as a head football coach, and now they're going to remember your work ethic. They're going to remember what you did.
Yeah. And
they may call you to interview for a job or to come see about a job. So you never know who's watching your work ethic. So I think if you want to get your foot in the door, and get that first head coaching job or that first head coaching interview, be where your feet are right now. Do the best you can at the job that you have. Do any extra thing that you can to help out your AD, to help out your head football coach. Build a relationship with everybody in the building, because you never know who's watching your work ethic. You never know, like I say, that assistant principal one day may be a principal. That principal may be a superintendent one day. So you never know who's watching what you do. So if you leave a good impression on some people that sees you every day and build a connection with them, then I think those are steps and strategies that you can use to get that first head coaching job or that first head coaching interview, man. Just work and be what your feet are, do your job, and do it to the best of your ability. Like I say, the best advice I got, you never know who's watching. And if your work is good, if your work ethic is good, and mainly if you're a good person, and then opportunities don't open up for themselves. So be what your feet are.
No, that's good. That's real good. Okay, so are there ways coaches can, when they're trying to send out resumes or do those kinds of things, are there things that they should be doing to market themselves? I mean, do they need to have any kind of a positive social media presence? Do they need to send out a certain kind of packet when they're trying to get an interview? Are there things they can do to market themselves to get that first interview?
I think, social media is big right now, because, a lot of people's on social media, even administration on social media. I think when you apply for jobs, they go back and look at everything. They go back and look at your social media. They'll look back and see the things that you're posting. But I think to market yourself, I think is, again, being what your feet are. Because you're going to have a list of references that you put on. But most likely, they're not calling those references because they know those references are going to say good things about you.
Yeah.
And so if you have done a good job of every place you've been, being a positive person and making good relationship with the people that you work with or work for, now when that AD or that principal calls the job that you were 2 stops before, and because you didn't put them on your reference and they say good things about you, now they truly know that you're a good person and maybe someone they want to hire. So I feel like, to market yourself is just being a good person where you're at and not burning any bridges that you have. Don't leave a job, with a sour taste in their mouth. Make sure you're doing right by everybody you work with, because you never know who, if you apply for this job, you never know who they're going to call in your past that's had a connection with you, because they're not calling the references on your reference sheet. They're not. Because they know that those people are going to say good things about you.
Yeah.
They're going to call the teacher that you work with, 2 or 3 years prior to that. how is this person as a person? Is he a good person, or is she a good person? You know, they're gonna call the first principal you work for. How is he as an employee? And if those people say good things about you, then one, they remembered you, and two, they say positive things about you, then it must have been true, because, you know, I don't think they will lie.
Right.
And so I think being where your feet are, doing your job wherever you're at, and I think that's how you market yourself. You know, just being a good person, and when you get that opportunity, now you have to sell who you are as a person, as a coach, whatever it is. But no, I'm just a big believer. You know, you market yourself with your work ethic. You market yourself how you treat people. You know, how you treat kids, and if you do a good job of that, you know, the right people are going to notice. And when the right people notice, that's when the opportunities come for you.
Okay. No, that's good. Okay, so do you think young coaches should be prepared to take any head job just to get their foot in the door?
That's a tough one, because, you know, it's
yeah, because it's a debatable.
No doubt. That's a tough one, because, you know, I'm a believer. You know, if you take a head coaching job, you got to win, and in some jobs it's going to be tough to win at, and so you have to really do your research on the job, on the community, on the school. Like, is this the right fit for me? Can I be successful at this place? Because some jobs you may not be able to be successful at. And if you take that job and you're not successful, then that may be the last time that you're a head coach. And so for me, I wouldn't, you know, but, you know, it may be different from somebody else, because I truly feel like, no, if you're taking this job, they're hiring you to come in and win. And if you can't win because it's a bad situation, then that may be the last time you're head coach. Because if you go 0-20 at this job and they let you go, and now you try to apply for another head coaching job, that 0-20 record ain't leaving your record, your name. So, you know, that's tough, because, you know, there are a lot of people who want to be head coaches, and if they take a bad job and you don't win that could be the last one. And so I've been a believer in the people that I work for. You know, if you take a job, you got to go in there, you got to win, because they're hiring you to win. They're hiring you to change the culture. They're hiring you to be positive impact on the kids' lives, and you have to win also, being the head football coach. So
yeah.
You know, I wouldn't, but, you know, it's different for other people, because I truly believe, you know, if you take a job, you got to go in and win right now. And if you don't win, that's going to be tough, you know, to stay a head coach if you can't win.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's my belief. It's different for other people. But I just wouldn't take a job just to say I'm a head coach. I want to make sure that, you know, the job fits me, the community fits me, and I'm able to go in and make an impact and win right away.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I like that. Now, how long were you applying for head jobs before you got this one?
So, you know, my first head coaching job was in Corrigan, Texas, my hometown. And so I was not ready to be a head coach. So this was –
you were the head coach at Corrigan?
No, that's the first job I applied for.
First job you applied for.
Yeah,
sorry. No, I was going, oh, wait a minute.
First head coaching job I applied for.
Okay.
First head coaching job I got an interview for. So I said that wrong. But I wasn't ready at all. But I just felt like it was hometown. You know, I felt like, you know, I had to apply. And I think they just gave me an interview just to say, you know, they gave me an interview because I was from there.
But was it a good experience?
It was a great experience. But I walked out of there knowing that I ain't getting this job. I know that that was not a good interview. I was not ready. And so I knew walking out of there, I had a lot of work to do. And so, but it was a good experience to go through it and to see how it was. But one, I wasn't ready. You know, that was like, I think that was my third year in Port Arthur, and, you know, we just came off a successful season. But for me, at that point, I wasn't ready to be a head coach. But I felt like it was hometown. I felt like, you know, I had to apply because it was a hometown. But, you know, Corrigan ISD made a great choice in not hiring me because I wasn't ready to be a head coach.
Well, at least you got an interview, because I applied for the head job at my hometown and didn't even get an interview.
So, yeah, I was blessed to get the interview, but I walked out of there knowing that if I want to be a head coach, I got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of things that I need to do. So that was in 2019. And so I didn't get my next interview till 2023. My first year in Nimitz, that off season I got another interview. Applied for a job in Houston area, and, you know, I did a lot of work from 2019 interview in Corrigan till then, and so that interview was good. Like I felt really, really good. I got a second interview also, so I made the finals for the job, and so I felt good about getting the job. Like, okay, I think I may get this job. Walking out of the interview, then getting the second interview, I was like, okay, I may get this job. The principal called me, and I was like, man, the principal called me. I think I may get this job. And so, and this part that I'm about to tell you now, like, this changed my outlook on how to be a head coach and how to get a job. He said, Coach, this is the principal. He said, Coach Colquitt, he said, appreciate you coming in and interviewing for the job. You did a great job. Like, your portfolio, your PowerPoint was great. You know, the way you presented was great. You knew your stuff. You came in with a suit, tie. You shook everybody's hand. You looked us in the eye. Like, you did a great job. He said, however, most of your interview was about football. You had your winning records, winning district championship. You know, the things you did as a football coach, that was all great. He said, however, we are looking for a head football coach and an athletic coordinator. He said, you had very little of athletic coordinator responsibilities or what you would do as an athletic coordinator in your portfolio in your interview. He said, I need an athletic coordinator and a head football coach. He said, so the person that we're hiring and that got the job presented how he was going to be as an athletic coordinator and not a football coach. He said, you knew everything about ball. Like, I was impressed with that. He said, however, I already know that you know about ball. He said, you wouldn't be in the interview if you didn't know about the football part of things. He said, so my advice to you, Coach Colquitt, is to go back to your school, get with your head coach, get with your AD. You need to learn the other side of the game. It's not all about football when you're in this seat. It's about how are you going to lead other coaches? How are you going to lead other kids in other sports? How are you going to help the admin out? How are you going to be in the community? There's a lot that comes with it. He said, so once you learn that and once you get that part of it, you don't get any job that you want to get. And so that phone call really changed my outlook on everything. Because, you know, when you apply for jobs and you don't get it, or interview for a job you don't get, they see that generic email saying, oh, thank you for applying for the job, you know, however we decided.
I've had a few of those.
Yeah. However we decided to go with another candidate. But this principal took the time to call me and really break it down to me like, hey, yeah, we know you know ball, but you have to know the other part of being a head football coach, athletic coordinator. It's not all about football.
That was really good of him to do that.
It changed my outlook, everything, Coach Brent. It changed my outlook. I'm like, wow, that makes sense, because you see it, but you don't really realize it. Like, as a head football coach, athletic coordinator, you're just not over football now. Like, you're over all the other coaches on campus. You're over all the other athletes on campus. You have to do PAPFs. You have to do all these other things that people don't see, and it changed my outlook. I was like, okay, I didn't have that. No, I didn't have that in my portfolio. I didn't have that in my interview. So I didn't talk about that. And those are things that admin are looking for. They're looking for someone that can come in and manage the whole athletic program, not the budget, like all these things that people don't see. They just see the head football coach, and they just realize that, you know, that's what they want to be as a head football coach, but they don't realize all the other things that come with it. And so that phone call changed my outlook. So after I had that phone call with him, I knew what I had to do. I had to go back and I had to sharpen my tools. So I went back to my head football coach, was Cornelius Horman at the time. He gave me more responsibilities. I said with him when he had interviews. I said with him when he had to do PAPF forms. You know, I went to the ADs, got extra duties from them. So I sharpened my tool because I knew, speaking with the principal from that school, I knew what I had to do now to be a head football coach. And so when the job came open in Sam Houston, so that was in 2023. So I interviewed for the job in Sam Houston this year. So I had 3 years to sharpen my tools and make sure that I knew everything it was I could on the admin part of side of things that I needed to get the job. And so when this job came open, I was ready. I did less football and I did more of the administration part in my interview packet and in my portfolio. And so I would tell any coach that's wanting to get into a head coaching position, especially a coordinator, head football coach, you have to know the other side of the game. It's just not about football when you're in this seat. There's a lot that comes with it. And so when you understand the other part of it, because when you get an interview, they already know that you're good at football. They know you wouldn't be in the interview. Like the principal told me, you wouldn't have an interview if we didn't know about the football part. We want to know about the administration part. How are you going to handle parents? How are you going to be a help for the admin? How are you going to manage other coaches on campus? How are you going to manage other kids? What's your policies? What if this, and so that phone call changed my life. It changed the way I looked at things, and it really helped prepare me for this opportunity that I had here in Sam Houston. So, that after that phone call, I knew that I knew what I had to do, and I knew I was going to be ready the next opportunity that I had to be.
That's good. God, that's real good. I'm sitting there. It made me go back, start thinking back to the phone calls I received. When I didn't get jobs, and one of them, I interviewed for the Jacksboro head job when I was after being with Randy Jackson 1 year. I went and interviewed, then I made the finals, and didn't get the job.
Right.
But I really liked the people there, and then the next year that coach didn't work out. They called me and asked me to come back and interview again, and so it kind of that goes back to your don't burn bridges, And I wasn't mad or pouting or anything else. I kind of learned from it and had got another year to learn under Randy. But that's great what you were just saying there. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it changed. That phone call changed because he didn't have to call me. I could have got that generic email like everyone else gets. Thank you for applying, but we decided to go somewhere else. So for him to take the time and really break it down to me, this is what administrations look for when they're hiring somebody to be a head football coach. They're hiring somebody to be an administrator too.
Yeah.
To be over the whole athletic program. You have to do budgets. You have to know how to do a PEPF form. Like you have to have parent. Like it's a lot that comes with it. And if you're not prepared for it, if you don't have a little sense of it, then it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And if you don't present it in what you're interviewing, then most likely you're not going to get that job because administrators want someone who's going to control the athletic department, who's going to be the head of our athletic department, who's going to lead the coaches, who's going to lead all the athletes on campus. That's what they want. And on top of that, you got to be the head football coach too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot that come with it. And so during that interview process, that's who they're looking for. And so like I did, if you just go in there talking about football, most likely you're not going to get that job. But if you go in there and talk about the total picture of an athletic program and how you're going to lead the coaches and how you're going to lead the student athletes, how you're going to help the admin on campus, then you're going to have a great chance of getting that job. And so that's what I'll tell anybody who desires to be a head coach or is that their dream. Make sure you know the administration part of it also, because when you get that part down, then most likely you'll have a great chance of getting that job, because that's what admins want. They want a leader, not just the football leader, but they want a leader of athletics. You got to be the face of the program, and so when you're when they feel like you can be the face of the program, then you'll have a good chance to get a job.
Well, and that all goes back to what you were saying at the very beginning. You said take on as many responsibilities as you can and learn as much as you can and say, I'll go do this, I'll do that, I'll be the admin on duty for you. That all goes back to that. That was good. Doubt. Okay. Let's see. What did you do to prepare for that first job? Well, you know what? We probably covered everything you did to prepare for it too. So let's move on to this next one then. How long do you feel like it's going to take before people really notice this program and your mark that you're making on it and them seeing the difference? Is that a 1 year, a 2 year, a 3 year deal?
I think it can be different for everyone. For me, in this program, it's right now. The talent, I'm walking to a talented roster. And so the expectation is to win right now, right? And And it's different for people because people walk into different situations as first-time head coach or, the first head coach at the school. But for me, walking into a roster that's, experienced and coming off a district championship, the expectation is to win right now. And so I'm doing everything in my power to change the culture here, to make sure that it's a winning culture, to make sure the kids know that, the way we're going to play the game is the right way. The way we do things in the building is the right way, because all that impacts the results on the field. And so, like I say, it's different for everybody. But for Coach Colquitt and the Sam Houston, Hurricanes, the expectation and the things that we have to do is to win right now, because there's no. A lot of people go into jobs saying I don't have this or I don't have that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I have this to be able to win, and I have it. I have the experience O-line. I have a quarterback that's coming back from last year. I have 2 running backs that played last year. I have an experienced defense. So I'm walking into a situation where, they're looking for the Hurricanes to be at the top of the district again.
Yeah.
And so the expectation was made clear during the interview process that you have a talented roster. And so we're trusting you to go in, set your culture, set your expectations, but the expectation is to win.
Yeah.
And so for me, establishing that winning culture is now. And we do that every single day. And the way we work, the way we train, the way we watch film, the way we stretch is a championship mentality, because the expectation is high. The expectation is to win. This community expects to win. The school expects to win. Just because it's a new coach, that doesn't change the expectation. It's a new coach, but it's the same players. And so now it's my job and our coaching staff job to change the culture to where it's our culture. And we get in and we do that. The expectation is to win, and we're going to win.
Cool. No, I like that. Coaches, if you haven't checked out Spiral XO yet, it's not too late to get started. The all-in-one football software that'll save you a ton of time this season. Everything from your playbook maker to player quizzes to in-game analytics, player and parent communication, and more. I wish this was around when I was coaching, because I hated having 10 different things open at once, and this having everything together and integrating with Huddle makes things so much easier. So go to spiralxo.com and sign up for a demo to give it a look, or you can set up a longer demo with them, like a 30-minute demo that they'll do for you, and tell them I sent you, and you can get 10% off if you sign up. It's growing fast in the southeastern states, but it's still new to Texas, and nobody in Texas has it yet. So we need to get it started here. This thing's going to be big. So I know Texas, we're just a little slow sometimes on doing something new, but once it kicks in, everybody's going to have it. So go check them out at spiralxo.com. Okay. All right. Let's get back to the show. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to the rapid fire questions.
I'm ready.
All right. What's the most unusual situation you've encountered as a coach?
This last week. So one of the kids, So one of the kids walked to practice, but he walked to practice with his dog followed him to practice. So we were doing special teams, and the dog just ran to the middle of the field. And I'm like, man, who dog is this in the middle of the field? And at the time, it wasn't funny because we're trying to get reps, we're trying to get better. But no, when I look back on it now, a week later, it's really, really funny. Like, the dog is just having a blast, just running around the field. I'm like, man, get this dog off the field. And so the kid, when he got the dog, took it to the side. But I've never experienced a dog on the field during the practice.
Yeah, that's a little different.
It was different, man. But I kudos to the kid for walking. He's like, Coach, my dog wouldn't stay home. He's like, I walked there and he just followed me, so I had to bring him. But dog hadn't came back since then. I hadn't kicked him out of practice, but I told him, don't bring your dog to practice no more, man. Like, don't do it. But yeah, that's the most unusual thing I've had so far.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, what's your favorite pass route?
Mesh. So mesh is my favorite pass route, man, because you can run it zone, man. It don't matter. Like, quarterback go through your progressions. You can dress it up. You can run it out of any formation. And I learned this from Coach Morgan. And, we ran mesh a lot, and you can do a lot of things out of mesh. So mesh is one of our day one installs. And we got our scrimmage Thursday. We're gonna run a lot of mesh.
Who do y'all scrimmage Thursday?
We scrimmage Cole and Creekview. That's a new school in Medina Valley. So. So mesh is my favorite pass concept.
Cool. Where's that scrimmage at?
It's gonna be at Cole.
Okay.
Cole High School. So we're excited to go against somebody else, and Cole and Creekview, we got a lot of mesh from our offense.
Well, good deal. What's your favorite run play?
Oh, GT counter. Counter. That's a favorite, man. So I work with one of my best friends was the run game coordinator in Nimitz. We worked together for 4 years, Coach Leslie Davis, and that was his favorite run play was GT counter. We're gonna go trips to the field. We're gonna run GT counter back to the boundary. So GT counter is a favorite run play, is a staple of our offense, and something that I'm bringing here to Sam Houston because they mostly was a zone team last year. So,
okay.
We're bringing the GT counter here to Sam Houston, but that's a favorite run play. We get a heavy dose of GT counter, we get a heavy dose of mesh offensively from us.
So tell me this: have you noticed a difference running the counter? Or did you notice a difference when they started not allowing the defensive ends to go cut their pullers?
That helped out a lot, So
because I used to always tell mine cut the big boys.
So when we first started, they were doing that. So the guard would come out, try to kick out someone, and he get cut, and it just mess up the whole play.
Yeah.
So changing that rule really helped us out offensively. But I just thought it was a disadvantage for our guys, especially our guards going out, getting cut by these small outside linebackers, somebody that they had to kick out. But now it's in our favor now, so for sure.
Yeah. Okay, do you have a hair policy with your kids?
No hair policy. I mean, it's 2026, man. These kids got you got dreads, you got buzz cut. Like it don't like now. When I was in school, Coach Armstrong was strict. You had to have your hair above your earlobe, like all that good stuff. But
high and tight.
Yeah, high and tight. But now, man, these kids, they got to express themselves, and sometimes they express themselves through their hair. And so there's no hair policy with us as long as it fits. As long as we can get a helmet on your head, like, I don't care how your hair is, man. You express yourself the way you want to express yourself. So no hair policy from us.
Gotcha. Now, are you going to be a heads or tails guy on the coin flip?
Tails never fails, man. Tails never
we'll
fails.
See.
Man. Yeah, we'll see.
Now, do you like to be on the field first with your offense, or do you like to defer?
And so I've always loved for the defense to go out first. But, my time in Nimitz with Coach Horman for 4 years, he always wanted the offense to go out first. So being offensive coordinator, man, it was like nervous because, you're expected to go down and score for the first series you get the ball, possession you get the ball. But, as a head coach, I want to put the defense out first. I want them to set the tone, to get a stop, to get our guys some juice. However, but when I was in Nimitz, man, it didn't matter if we won the toss or we lost the toss because most teams want their defense to go first. Yeah. So if we lost the toss, it was fine. The offense was going on the field first. And if we won the toss, we were going to accept that it go on the field first. So it didn't matter when I was in Nimitz. But here in Sam Houston, I want we got a good defense. We got a good defensive coordinator, good staff. And so I want our defense to go out there and set the tone. So put the defense out there first.
All right, good. Okay, do you have a pregame speech? Are you going to give one?
Oh, man, I don't know. Because I've never given one before. And so, this is the first year. So I don't know if I'm going to come out with something or just, let the boys go out there and play. I don't know. I think, we play LBJ first game. And so from Austin, they're going to be a really, really good football team. And so I don't know if I need to come up with a pregame speech to get them hyped. I don't know if the boys are going to be already ready to go. So I haven't decided yet. That's something being a first-time head coach. I'm still thinking about. Do I give them a speech, or do I just let them loose to go out there and play, just give them a little talk? But, I think, by the time August 29th get here, I've decided if I'm going to give a speech or not. So we'll see.
No, I got you. Do you have a favorite quote you like to use with the kids?
One of my favorite quotes, I think, is from Bo Jackson, is that, set your goals high and work hard to reach those goals. And so that works for athletics and that works for life also.
Yeah.
You got to set high goals for yourself. But if you set those high goals, you got to work hard to get to those goals. Don't set goals that you're going to get and it's easy. Set those goals high and put the work in and put the commitment in to reach those goals. So that was something that I use with the kids, man. Let's set high goals for yourself. Let's set high goals for this team. And let's work hard to reach those goals, each goal that we set. So that's my favorite quote.
Okay. You like music in the weight room?
Love it. That brings the energy, man. you know, when I was in school, Coach, man, we were old school. Coach Armstrong was an old school coach, man. We ain't had no music. We ain't have nothing. Like, all you hear was weight clanking. And so, you know, now, man, these kids, though, you got to let them express themselves, man. And music is one way that, you know, gets them energy. And I love it. Turning the music, as long as, you know, clean, no profanity. You know, we going to play music and get the kids some energy.
That's good. Yeah, my older brother used to say he would turn it up so loud it literally hurt my ears. And I was like, God, why do you have so loud? He goes, well, because they can't hear each other talk. They're not going to talk and chat if they got it up that loud. Now, do you think you'll have any varsity kids in the band?
I don't think so.
Would you let them march at halftime if they were?
Of course. I think if they are, I think, you know, high school is a special time in these kids' lives, man. You only get 4 years of high school, man. So if we got kids in the band that want to go out and perform, you go perform. Like you experience that because, you know, after these 4 years, you don't get that opportunity again.
Yeah.
You don't get the opportunity to perform in a band or perform on the football team. So, you know, if we got kids in the band or future kids that want to be a part of the band, yeah, you be a part of the band, you be a part of the football team too. And if it's halftime, you go do your thing with the band and make sure you come on, get some adjustments, go on into halftime, but you should enjoy being a high school student. And so you should do everything possible that you can do. If that's band, if that's theater, if that's football, basketball, you should try to do everything possible. So I wouldn't stop a kid that wanted to be in the band and perform at halftime.
All right. What are your favorite 3 lifts in the weight room?
Squat. That was Coach Armstrong's favorite. We were going to squat every single day. Power clean, and we do a little hand clean also, and then push press.
All right. You know, push press is getting bigger. I always did push press because my older brother was always big on it. And but then while there, hardly anybody was doing it. But I love it because it's just so explosive.
Yeah, it is.
You know, you got all that weight on you, and you're having to explode up with it and press it up. So it's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good lift for us. So, yeah, those 3, squat, power clean or hand clean, and push press.
Oh, I like that. Do you have a favorite agility exercise you'd like to make sure they do?
We jump rope, and that's a lot of things that a lot of people don't do anymore. Like, kids don't jump rope, and so I think that's a good to get the hand coordination going on and some rhythm. But jump roping is something that, you know, I think we do that's very, very important. Just helps us out just with coordination and being able to, you know, get something like. So a lot of people don't do jump ropes no more, but you know, jump rope is something that
I like
that we do. Yeah,
we did it. It was part of our normal off-season deal. We had a 2-minute cycle. It was 30 seconds 30 seconds left, 1 minute. I guess it was and then 30 seconds right, 30 left, 30 minutes both feet, and then 30 seconds run in place.
Yep.
And so it's like a 2-minute cycle. Those are good.
Yeah, and it gets you really exhausted if you're doing it the right way and giving you effort. Like, you can really get a good workout from it. So yeah, jump roping is huge.
I like that. Okay, are you a conspiracy theory person?
I'm not, man. Just give it to me straightforward. Like, like I don't got time to really think and got the energy to think. I just need the truth, the black. I don't need no gray area. Like, no conspiracy theory.
Okay, now do you have coaches in your office that are, and you walk by and just keep going?
Yeah. So if they talking about something, so I'm not getting to the middle of it. Like, I ain't got time for it. Like, just give me the hard on the truth, and then we can go from there. But no conspiracy theory over here.
All right. Do you listen to podcasts?
I do.
What are some of your favorite ones?
This one right here.
All right, there we go.
This one right here. But I do. I say that, but I am telling the truth. Like, what you do, Coach Brandon, going around the state and interviewing different, head coaches, I think is beneficial for a lot of people listening to your podcast.
I hope so, and I appreciate that.
And people who desire to be a head coach, they get to hear different perspective from people who sit in the seat that they want to be in. And now they can see how this person got to that seat, how this person got to that seat. So it's beneficial. Like, you can listen to all the college coaches you want to. You can listen to all the NFL coaches that you want to on podcast. But they're not going through the same things that you're going through as a high school coach trying to climb the ladder. And so what you do and how you go around, to different head coaches in the state and get their perspective on things is beneficial for high school coaches who desire to be a head coach, who desire to be in that seat. Like, you get to hear different perspectives from head coaches, and that's beneficial for anybody in this profession. So, what you do, man, is really appreciate it. You can listen to different podcasts, and, NFL coaches, NBA coaches, college coaches, but they don't go through the same things that we go through as high school coaches.
Yeah.
So it's your podcast and really opening the door and showing people this is what it takes to get to this point. Listen to this coach background, how he got there. Listen to this coach background, how he got there. That helps out a lot of people, wanting to be a head coach or just, interested in high school football. This gives them the insight of things behind the doors that they may not get. And so what you do, man, is great, and I truly appreciate it.
Oh, yes, sir. No,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
glad to do it. I still got to thank Coach Christian again for giving me this idea for hey, this is a good topic. He goes, I'd love to hear.
Right.
And so he's got his thermal gun out taking temperatures. I like those thermal guns. Those things are good. But so I'm glad to hear you say that. It just makes me feel good that maybe there are some people out there, benefiting from it. And my son always tells me, he goes, Dad, I just want to learn everything I can because he coaches at Salado. You heard me say,
right.
And he just wants. He goes, I want to hear everything those guys have to say so that I can learn from them, and be like Absec used to always say, putting different tools in his toolbox.
Yeah, of course. Yep, exactly.
And okay, so if you could change one rule in football, what would it be?
Oh, I think as an offensive guy, the pass interference. Like I would want if we throw a 40-yard ball down the field and that pass interference happens 40 yards down the field, I want that ball where that pass interference was at.
Yeah.
Instead of getting 15 yards, I want it where it happened at. So as an offensive guy, I would change that. If we throw a 30-yard pass down the field, we get a pass interference 30 yards down the field. I want that ball where that pass interference happened at.
So you want the pro one, huh?
Yeah, I want the pro version. I want that instead of 15 yards. I want that spot foul. So I would change that. It's never gonna get changed, but that's something that I would change.
Okay, what would you do if you weren't a coach?
I think I'd be a police officer.
Okay.
I love connecting with people. I love interacting with people. And I think police officer, you get to interact with different people, different walks of life every single day. So I think if it wasn't my mom, she wouldn't go for it, me being a police officer, but that's something that I would want to do.
Your wife might not either.
Yeah, her either, or Ace. But that's something that I would be always interested in, being a police officer.
Okay. I have a lot of respect for those guys. That's got to be tough. Okay. Do you have a pro or a college coach you kind of look up to or model some things after?
John Thompson, the head coach. He was the head coach at Georgetown University. I wasn't born during his time when he was the head coach. I was small, but growing up and reading his book and seeing how his players gravitated to him and the changes that he made on their lives, like Allen Iverson.
Ewing.
Yeah, Ewing.
Yeah. When you first said that, I said, okay, is there another John Thompson that I didn't want to picture a basketball
those guys,
coach? But
Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, how those guys talk about, how John Thompson changed their life. And, and so that's something that I strive to do, with my players. I want to make that connection where they feel like I'm changing their lives for the good. Just like Coach Armstrong, my high school coach, did me. So I want to. That's my whole calling in this profession is to change young people's lives. And Coach John Thompson, reading his book, that's one of my favorite books he's had. It changed me, and the way his players talked about him, man. So John Thompson is one of my all-time favorite coaches.
Oh, cool. Okay, who's the most motivating coach you've ever heard speak?
Coach Todd York. Now, so Coach Todd York was head football coach at Corrigan my 8th grade year, and they won state championship. With him as a head coach, and then he left and went to Terrell, and then Coach Armstrong took over as a head coach. But as an 8th grader, Coach Todd York was like godlike in Corrigan. You know what I mean? Like, when we were going up from elementary school to middle school, like we looked up to him. So, the way he was able to get kids to do, run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
Like that was him as a coach. Like his speeches, the way he fired you up, the way he talked to you, like you were ready to do anything for him. And so Coach Todd York is still a great influence on me to this day. But he gave some great speeches in his time there in Corrigan.
All right, that's good. Do you have a favorite pregame song you like to hear before the games?
Man, I'm a slow jam type person when it comes to pregame, so I got my Chris Stapleton on.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite, artists. I listen to. I just put his playlist on, listen to all his songs. Some people think I'm listening to like hip hop and rap during the pregame, but I got Chris Stapleton on in the headphones, man. So that kind of mellows me out, and not gets me too high. So. But yeah, Chris Stapleton will definitely be on the playlist during pregame.
Do you have a favorite sports movie?
Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites, man. So that was a good movie. Just the relationship part of the movie that I think that we still experience to this day. The story behind it was a good story. So that's one of my favorites, all-time favorites.
All right, and anything with Denzel is going to
Denzel,
be good no matter what. I can't think of one movie he's ever been in that I didn't love.
No doubt, no doubt.
Okay, favorite movie quote?
Oh, and so when I was a kid, I used to love to watch Jaws. And so when
I just watched it the other day.
Really?
It was back on. Yeah.
So when he said, "I think we're gonna need a bigger boat," I think that's probably one of my. It was funny. It's funny when he said it, but they were serious. Like, yeah, we're gonna need a bigger boat. So that's kind of one of my favorite quotes from a movie from the Jaws movie.
No, that's a good one because it just happened to be on the other day. Jaws 1 and Jaws 2, and I watched Jaws 1. Watched the whole thing again right there. That's a good one. All right, well, Coach, man, that's all the questions I have. Is there anything you want to add about what y'all got going on here as y'all head into the season?
I just think we got, for Sam Houston football, it's going to be an exciting time here at Sam Houston High School. Like, we got a lot of talent on this team. We got a great coaching staff, and we got a lot of support from our community and our school. We're going to put an exciting brand of football on the field that people are excited to come see every Friday night. And like I said, our goal is to win a district championship. We don't shy away from that. That's been a goal since I got here in April. This summer we worked to get to that goal. Fall camp, we're working to get to that goal, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure at the end of the season that we're standing with a gold trophy as district champ. And so, but that takes work.
Yeah.
That takes commitment. That takes doing things right in the classroom. That takes doing things right in the community. All that plays a part of what we have to do to get to that goal. And so we're preaching that to our kids every single day. We're trying to change the culture to a winning culture here that the kids win on the field, but they win in the classroom also. They win in the community. And when we change that culture to that, good things are going to happen here at Sam Houston High School. So I'm blessed to be the head coach here. I'm blessed to lead these young men. I'm blessed to lead these coaches. And it's my job to make sure that, they're doing the right things at all the time. And when we get to that point, good things are going to happen here at Sam Houston High School. So it's a blessing for sure.
All right, well, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to keeping up with you guys. I'll have to at least make a game or so,
of course,
since
man,
you're right here close to home.
You're always welcome. Anytime you want to come by, you're always welcome, Coach.
All right. Well, thank you again, Coach, for taking the time, and best of luck to you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, thanks for joining Coach Colquitt and I today here at Sam Houston High School. I hope you enjoyed getting to know a little more about him and his thoughts on today's questions and topics. He gave a lot of good information in there, and I'm hoping that can benefit a lot of people out there. Next week, I will be in Wharton. I know it's surprising that for 2 weeks in a row, I actually already know where I'm going to be the next week, but I'm getting ahead of the game a little bit here, and I will be visiting with Coach Jason Haddock down in Wharton. So I hope you can join us, and good luck in your scrimmages this week. And remember, if you are lost in Texas this fall, just look for the lights.
I wear that red and white on a Friday night when my hometown takes the field. I say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, try to be the best man. That's how I feel. No matter where my heart runs, I remember where I came from. Still got that raised up right